Sarah Palin was the Republican nominee for the vice presidency under John McCain in 2008. She's written a new book, Sweet Freedom. And Sarah Palin, welcome again to the Bill Cunningham Show. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bill. Thanks so much for having me on.
It is a great day to be an American. Before we talk about affirming faith in a divisive world, give me your reaction to the feckless leadership of Barack Hussein Obama, who reminded me almost of in a clownish appearance a couple days ago in that news conference. Give me your views of what the American policy is right now to combat terrorism all over the world.
Oh, geez. You know, that's like asking, what is the Obama doctrine and how the heck does anybody know? I mean, talk about feckless leadership. Did you ever think that we'd be standing behind the French waiting for them to lead us into battle if need be? This is just an amazing time.
Imagine now, Vladimir Putin has now confirmed that 2.2 pounds of some sort of high explosive brought down his airliner. Now, he says he's going to unleash the dogs of hell to go after the terrorists. And he's now hooked up with the French military, ignoring Obama, ignoring America. Isn't that an amazing development?
Yeah, you know, we're getting left behind. And, yes, you got to hand it to Putin, don't you? He commands respect, and you never have to wonder whose side is he on.
And as an American, aren't we better off to have him do it than Obama?
Well, under this commander-in-chief, that's a great point. Yeah, we are.
Now, talk to me about your book, Sweet Freedom. What are some of the essential points, and how does it attribute to a Christian today that's often under assault, especially from the mainstream media? What is Sweet Freedom about?
Well, Sweet Freedom's a whole different ballgame when you consider what most devotions are about, because it's quite candid and it's in layman's terms, and it's not so hyper-spiritual that people get lost on it. I take verses from the Bible, Old and New Testament, and I'm pointing people to the solutions, to the answers to all the challenges that we face today, personally and politically. I picked out verses in here where, for instance, Jesus talked about arming yourselves. I swear he believed in open carry even, because he told his disciples to take up arms and, you sell your cloak. If you don't have a sword, you go buy your cloak or your sword and go arm yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't wait for government or anybody else to do it. In the devotion, too, I hit on things like taxation. Well, should Christians pay your taxes or not? It's like, well, yep, doggone it. It says in the Bible, pay your taxes. But if you understand that our taxation system is unjust, then you work your butt off to elect people who will change that taxation system. And then, of course, I talk about fighting evil. I talk about terrorism because, Jesus was a warrior. His disciples were warriors. They weren't some namby-pamby, milquetoast hippies and flip-flops singing Kumbaya, let's all understand each other. They were fighters, and they were fighters for the innocents.
So when you say that Jesus Christ might have been open carry,
yeah,
that's in the Bible.
It is, Luke 22. He said to his disciples, if you have a purse, okay, take your purse and take your bag too. But if you don't have a sword, go sell whatever it takes to go buy a sword, and let's go. Let's start the journey.
Unbelievable. As far as what the mainstream media did to you and not for you, I had a sense, and I was the guy in Cincinnati that introduced Senator John McCain, and I had the temerity to use the words Barack Hussein Obama. And when I did that, I'm looking to my right, and there were two officials there with the McCain campaign he was coming up to Centennial building over the Rhine, and they kept saying, keep it going, he's not quite here yet. When I left the stage, the two or three McCain staffers said that was the best introduction they've ever heard.
You know why? Because you went rogue, and you were so bold as to even use Barack Hussein Obama's full name. Now, when I was running, I kept being told, "Don't do that, don't do it, and don't bring up Bill Ayers, and don't bring up Jeremiah Wright, and no, don't use his middle name." I'm like, if I had to do it all over again, Bill, I'd have been more like you.
Yeah, wouldn't it have made a difference? Because you can't rely upon the MSM to actually cover Democrats, especially black liberal Democrats. You can't rely upon them. And if the Republicans don't define their opponent, who's going to do it for them? It's not going to be CBS. It's not going to be the Clinton broadcasting system.
No kidding. Our enemy must be identified in more ways than one, in more venues than one. Now, we're not just talking about who the terrorists are today and the religion that too often is embracing death over life. That's one enemy that we have to identify. But we have to identify the enemy in the mainstream media media too, Bill.
And we're not. Why don't we? I have a sense that when Christina Amanpour yesterday criticized Obama's foreign policy, when Christina, who's a leftist with CNN, I have a sense maybe we've turned the corner. Do you have that sense the last day or two?
Well, I'm very, very thankful that I feel that there is a great awakening coming. I feel that we're on the cusp of that, but we have no choice, you know. Even the leftists are saying, wait a minute, this status quo, it's got to go because it's creating a less safe, a less sovereign and secure nation, and that's not what we signed up for when we voted for Barack Hussein Obama.
Why were you restrained? Because I think if Sarah Palin was allowed to do the traditional work of the VP nominee, which is to say and do the things maybe the presidential nominee can't do, maybe that election would have been different. How many restraints were you under?
Well, I had to sneak in phone calls to conservative media, as Sean Hannity can attest, and some local media, KWEL up there in Alaska. I had to, on back of the bus, I'd sneak in phone calls from my cell phone going, hey, we're here, I want to talk to you guys, but it just, not allowed to. Instead, it's here, go jump in the lion's den, Sarah. Here's Katie Couric for you. And, just stupid things like that, Bill, that anybody with common sense and that is in politics for a reason, not a season. It's not a business to them. Anybody would have consulted or counseled their campaign and their candidate to just be themselves, man, and tell the truth and don't underestimate the wisdom of the people instead of going the way we went.
Sarah, do you think possibly that election would have been different if Sarah Palin could have been Sarah Palin?
No, my dad says that. My dad's the best advisor. But, no, the economy was absolutely sucking and it was crashing at the time. And Bill, but here's another fault of the high-paid consultants who still get hired today and keep losing campaigns, by the way. But they were so focused on national security in a good way, but we should have still focused on what was going on in the economy at the same time and promised the American people we weren't going to go bail out banks. We weren't going to be part of the problem and continue the crony capitalism that has helped get us into the mess that we're in. Instead, we focus on some really in-the-weeds type leadership issues in the Middle East. It was not just in the weeds, but it was inside baseball stuff that the American people were like, wait a minute, whatever, go fix that. But in the meantime, I can't make a living. I can't send my kid to college,
Might you run again? Have you thought about running for a Senate position out of Alaska or the governorship again?
I know that I still have that passion in me to get out there and serve and try to help put America back on the right track. That's still in me. So if the opportunity arose, certainly I would consider it. I have to admit, kind of hard to give up the freedom, the sweet freedom that I have today, and being able to hopefully influence without a title or a nameplate on my door in an office. I like what I'm doing.
Do you have a candidate in this election cycle? Do you have one? Kind of the guy I kind of like is Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, someone like that. Do you have someone that interests you?
Today I was on Good Morning America, and there was a picture behind me that I sent to them of Ted Cruz and me together, and I'm like, oh man, they just flashed that big picture of Ted Cruz and me across the screen with us together, and I was glad that they did, because I want to send that message that Ted Cruz is a fighter. I really like him. I also, though, Bill, like those non-politicians. I like Carson. I like Trump. I like somebody who's going to put America first, no doubt in my mind that he will, but really it is too early to get out there and endorse someone because, you know how things implode in the world of politics.
Absolutely. And right now, I talked to Bill Hemmer off the air. He's been a friend of mine for 25 years from Fox. And he says the situation in Paris is somber. When the Charlie Hebdo thing happened back in January, there were 1 million Parisians marching around. You're not going to do this to us. He said right now in Paris, it is completely different. It is anger and resolve, kind of like we had after 9/11.
Yeah, well, good. And amazing, Hemmer's been, that you've known him for 25 years. I didn't know he was 25 years old. He looks like a kid.
He's about 50, believe it or not.
Well, geez, and he's doing great, by the way, on the air. I was watching him today, too. You know that somber mood over there? Well, that seriousness, I sure wish some of that would kind of be exuded towards our president so that he would get serious and start at least talking the talk. He's not even talking the talk anymore, you know? We always knew that his actions wouldn't match his words, and that he was always just talking the talk, but now he's even escaped that.
What's your relationship today like with Senator John McCain?
It is fine. In fact, in the next week, we will be doing something together, a video type thing, not sort of a parody, a fun thing, not political, because, there are political things that we don't agree on, but personally, we get along fine.
As far as that campaign, and I watched the HBO, there was a series that was more or less a hit piece on you, pictured you as stupid, out of touch, a Tina Fey caricature. Are you leery about the way the mainstream media dealt with you in '08, and does that color what you do today?
Well, of course, it sucked the way that they lied, and they tried to destroy my record and my reputation, which really stunk because, once you lose your reputation, you stand there after the winds have blown you over going, where do I go to get back my reputation, But on the other hand, it motivates me to go out there and defend others who are getting clobbered by the press. That's why all this slander against Carson that was going on, those weren't some kind of salacious, worthy of, dropping out of the campaign type controversies that the media was trying to stir up.
No.
So when I see somebody go through that, man, I just get my hackles up and I say, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes to defend them. I don't want them going through that stuff.
Sarah Palin, could you imagine if Barack Hussein Obama circa 2008 went through the same scrutiny that you went through?
What the heck? Yeah, I mean, every one of my grades since I was a little girl, at Iditarod Elementary School in Wasilla, all my grades, all my past relationships, everything, and Todd's too, and our kids, doggone it, everything was out there in the open. But you know what? I've been vetted then, I think if I were to run for anything in the future, it's like, what more could they say about me?
60 Minutes did the piece on you Sunday, and I watched it. And they had to bring up the fact that one of your daughters, I think Bristol, is pregnant again to make it look as if you're a hypocrite.
Right.
Because you profess Christian principles. Every mother, every father loves their kid no matter what they do. I excuse behavior all the time of relatives because of that. Did you consider that below the belt and typical of the mainstream media?
Well, I never watched the package after it was produced, and I never do watch a package about myself. I just, I get annoyed at myself, so I don't watch. But, I figured that they'd go there with Bristol. And, if I don't know what soundbite they took from me in reaction, but my reaction to it is she's 25 years old. She's an independent, the hardest working young woman you'll ever find.
Right.
And where she is now, she's like 40 days away from giving birth to our granddaughter.
Right.
So to me, it's like, hey, where we are now at this point, certainly not ideal. I would never, and I don't think she'd be aiming for single motherhood again either because it's tough. But where she is now, that represents what we believe in. It's life, and it's like, okay, life happens. You're in less than ideal circumstances. You think it's probably the worst thing that's ever going to happen to you, and then when you react positively anyway to the circumstances, then good can come out of it.
Do you watch Alaskan Bush People? I love Billy Brown, Amy Brown, Bam Bam. Do you watch them?
We do watch a lot of those Alaskan shows, and that one really cracks me up, though, because I'm thinking, wait, where are these guys from? One of them seems to have a southern accent. One kind of has this British-type accent. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. They're not my neighbors.
Are they real?
I don't know that much about the show, but there are so many Alaskan shows that are totally real, like Alaska State Troopers.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, in fact, when Todd and I were sitting there watching it, if it's on the background, and we're just like, dang, I hope that's not a cousin. Oh, shoot, yeah, that's one of our uncles. Oh, man, on both sides of the bag,
Well, Sarah, my last question is, I've been firing questions at you for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Do you have any questions for me about sports, world capitals, mathematics, the fluvial processes of geomorphology, something I can help you with that's confused you over the years?
Yeah. Speaking about math, my little boy who is in first grade now, and he comes home from first grade. I kid you not. I can't help the kid with his math homework.
That's not good.
Here's why. It's not like, hey, Trig, you have 5 apples, and somebody gives you 2 more apples. How many apples do you have? Instead, it's like this formula stuff that they're using with terms that I'm like, I've never even heard this stuff. I don't get it, this Common Core crap.
Well, Sarah Palin, lies circle the globe before truth can take its first step. And you've led a public life, at least for the last 10 years. In the last 7 years, you've been on the front burner. And I want to thank you for coming on again. I wish you would stay involved in politics. Your passion, your intelligence, Your Christianity is what we need. Never permit all the darkness and evil in the world to obscure your eyes to all the good that you've done.
Amen, and that's what I'm trying to teach my kids too, to keep the faith, and all Americans to keep the faith. And really, in the grand scheme of things, I have it so easy. I have a happy, healthy family, and, I've got my freedom and my faith in God. That's all I need.
Would you become a VP with Ted Cruz?
Ooh.
What if Ted Cruz said to Sarah Palin, Sarah, be my VP?
Oh, my goodness. Why don't you put that bug in his ear,
Well, I talk to Carson Palmer every now and then. Would you become his VP?
I would certainly serve in whatever capacity I could help, but that certainly is a long shot. I think people kind of had enough of that when I ran last time. But
Saturday Night Live would love it.
Oh, geez, I know. I'd get Lauren Michaels so many revenue dollars rolling in there, dang it.
Sarah Palin, you're a great American, and thanks for coming again on the Bill Cunningham Show. Thank you.
You are the best. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Let's continue.